Happy Halloween, everybody. I know you want to get out and trick or treat, but you want to watch the show as well. So we're going to get straight into it. What's on tonight's show? It was a jam-packed round 6 of the Aussie NBL. No need to fear, though. We've got that all covered for you. Tauihi basketball Aotearoa. It rolls on for another week. And there were some scarily good performances in the opening week of the NBA. All right, welcome back for another week of Hoop Heads. It is Halloween, trick or treat. Family, make sure you brush your teeth tonight, kids, as well. Very important. Dentists love this time of the year. Brook here, joined to my left. Tom Abercrombie's in the building. Casey Frank is here as well. Tommy, I actually want to start with you. I feel like we can ask this question now. How is retirement?
Retirement's great, Brook. I played some social cricket last night.
How'd you go?
We lost, but I was great. I was good, man.
Yeah,
I found my calling.
How you been, Case? How's your week been?
Rolling along, bro, rolling along. A couple of mishaps in there. Busy, a lot of news going on, around the basketball, as well as, you know, my own personal life, which nobody wants to hear about.
Oh, man, tell us a little bit more. Now, Tommy, speaking of retirement, you hear such a big part of your life has been with the NBL, but it was a big week with the NBL this week. If you haven't seen how the results went, here's a look at the NBL from round 6. Breakers, it was an interesting one. A big loss down in Christchurch against the Phoenix. Tommy, you were down there for that. We'll talk about that a little bit more. United, close one against the Hawks, and the Sixers get a big win over the Taipans, considering they were down big in their first half. Wildcats over the Kings, Hawks over the Phoenix, and then the Jack Jumpers round that one up over the Bullets. And then it's the Breakers getting a big win over the Kings. And speaking about a big win, United with that huge win over the Taipans. Now let's start with the Breakers. It's a bit of an interesting one at the moment. They seem to be going really well against the higher ranked teams, and then the lower teams, they're really struggling with that at the moment. Are there concerns, Tommy? I'll start with you, as I guess Mr. Breaker. Are there concerns around that?
Yes, there is concerns. I think the hangover from that travel to the US catches up with them a little bit, and there's a little bit of a delay before that kind of starts to hit you. I think guys get home, they relax a little bit, and then the injuries start to happen. We saw that last week with 3 or 4 guys going down, and I mean, they laid an egg in Christchurch. It was not a good performance. It was a bit of a dead atmosphere down there. They never got anything going, but as always, they surprise us and they go over and just play an absolutely incredible game against Sydney. So the only thing that's consistent is the inconsistency right now.
Well, it does be like that.
Know what's worse than being inconsistent? Always being bad. What's good about the Breakers is that they've had these purple patches where it's not going very well, but we see what they can get to as well. Their peaks have been pretty high. Beating Sydney in City is a huge win. To beat Perth coming back in that game even without Bryce Cotton, that's a big win against a rival. So to know that you have the ability to go in there, it's got to be heartening for the coaching staff, for the players to have that belief in their abilities to reach a higher level. But the consistency thing is something that you can work towards. Not being talented, not being good enough, that's not something you can work towards.
What do you put that down to? And Tommy, you've been in the Breakers since as long as I can remember. The inconsistency, the flows. They lose to the Kings by 56 in the preseason. They lose a couple nights before by 22, and then they come in and they beat the Kings.
Look, the difference in the NBL between not quite being there and being off, like it's so. If your energy is just ever so slightly off and the other team brings it, you got no chance, because anyone can beat anyone. There's so much talent spread out throughout the league, and this is nothing new. This has happened in the last few years because you've got 10 teams, you've got a lot of talent, and there's so much travel going back and forth. If the team is just slightly off, they can get hunted down so quickly. I think that's what we're seeing. One
thing that I was looking forward to going into this game was the matchup between PJC, who we know is going to be in the MVP ranks, and Isaiah Liafa as well. Bit of a quote-unquote, revenge game when you're going up against your old team. Hasn't shot the way that he probably wants to shoot. And I guess we saw the Isaiah that we know we can see in this ball game. It was a good one between these two. 23 for Zay, 21, which we expect for PJC. But Tommy, you played with both these guys last year. What do you like about this?
Yeah, look, both guys would have a bit of a point to prove in this one. Isaiah Liafa hasn't had the best start to the season for Sydney, but this was by far his best game so far. Found his stroke from the outside, 6 for 13 from the three-point line. And Parker Jackson-Cartwright, well, he just loves playing in Kudos Bank Arena. He's always got a point to prove in this place. And you know, the breakers go as Parker goes, and once again, he led from the front. It was an inspired performance from him. He brought the energy. They all followed him, and he led them to a really impressive road win over in Sydney. Tough place to get one.
Nice to see the Breakers play well against a good opponent, but for me, this one's more about the Kings. Because if Isaiah Liafa, as much as I love to see him play well, is your leading scorer, that squad's got some issues. Because that team was not put together to have Zay come off the bench and be the best scorer on the team. He's a defender, he's a spark plug. They've got other guys that are supposed to be carrying all that water. And if Zay is the one who's got to carry it, everybody else is going thirsty, and there's some real issues with what was supposed to be the most talented team in the squad.
And a worrying sign to that too is I think he was the only player in double digits for the Kings as well. So you're absolutely right. Now, one thing that the Breakers fans will love is to see their NBL next star Kareem Lopez have his best game of the season so far. Had himself 13 points, 10 boards as well, a couple blocks, just to make sure that the young boy was really hooping out there, but his best performance case.
Yeah, you love to see a young player know where to be on the court. That awareness of when to cut, of when to go for those offensive rebounds, of how the space on this one there. He's got an open shot, but this time he comes in, he gets a dunk, and that ability to make those decisions at a young age, really promising for him. Obviously has all these physical tools. He's getting so long, he's growing during the season, and his ability to influence wins, I think, is the most important thing for him developing over here with New Zealand.
And awesome just to see them have the confidence and just to start him, like go out there and just do what you do. And I think for him, knocking down a couple of shots from the outside, just such a massive confidence boost, because the shot is a little bit inconsistent right now. He's still young, that's going to develop. But if he can knock down one or two, like with the athletic gifts that he has, it's just going to open things up for him.
One of the promising signs for the Breakers as well is that we've got him for another 2 seasons.
Oh, he's under contract for another couple.
Wow, potentially, my bad. We potentially.
Pretty surprised if he's here for another 2 seasons.
But we potentially do have him for that too. I do agree with you, Case, but there is that off chance that we may have him for another 2. Now, we are spending a bit of time here with the Breakers and the Kings. I don't know if you two saw this. If you haven't seen this one at home, he is one of the greatest coaches we have ever seen on this side of the world. But Coach Brian Goorjian has something to say after the game.
The bottom line, and I said it after the last game, it's twice now we've gone to Perth and come back and played in the afternoon the next day. Our schedule, I've never had one like it. And I said this going, you know, Perth and back. We've played 3 home games, and 2 of them have been that. And the other one was after going to Adelaide and coming back on the Friday on a Sunday afternoon. Fatigue, frustration, it all came out. And yeah, it's. I'm just speaking from the heart and being. I got nothing to hide. I think it was out there for everybody to see.
I watched that, and I know a lot of people will watch that and go, oh, come on. The Breakers have just done a 13,000-kilometre trip in the last few days. I watched that and went masterclass.
Crimea River Gorge.
I thought that was a masterclass.
You don't have half the air points that the Breakers do right now. I guarantee you that. But, I mean, everyone travels a lot, but no one travels more than Breakers. And to say that after you've just played the Breakers, yeah, it's not a good look.
Honestly, this is just, for me, another...
I felt that, Tommy.
Another piece of why Gorge is such a good coach. Because you know who everybody's talking about right now?
Yeah.
Gorge complaining about the travel plans. And what they're not talking about is his team who's not performing to where they perform. He's taken all that on his shoulders. He's gone out, made everybody talk about him, say it's that. I guarantee that is not what Gorge is talking about in the locker room. He ain't talking about travel time. He's talking about rotations that team's not getting to. Nice job by him there. But it's only so long he can cover up for what's lacking in where they're supposed to be, and that's wins.
Yeah, Sydney feels like they're in a really interesting place at the moment. Now, someone else who's in an interesting place, and he has been hooping. It's in the DNA. We know about the last name Cameron when it comes to this side of the world in the game of basketball, but Flynn Cameron has been on an absolute heater and really made the most of his opportunity. Obviously, Shea Illy is our Tall Blacks point guard. He goes down, no Daly as well, and the swagger is there if he's a Cameron.
Just seizing his opportunity, and he's always had that swagger and confidence to his game. We saw it in the South NBL this year with the Taranaki Airs, and he's brought that into these last couple of games with United, and just fantastic to see him seize that opportunity and play really well, lead from the front. He can do it all on the court, and not lacking with confidence, as we said, and just really pleased for Flynn to take advantage of what opportunity he got.
And when you say opportunity, the only reason he's getting this time is because there was injuries ahead of him. Shea Illy, he's hurt. Delavedova's hurt for a bit. bit, so they leaned more heavily on Flynn. It's great when you get that chance to take advantage of it, to go out there to produce, to show that you can be somebody that's called on, and maybe eat into those minutes going forward. It's tough on a team as talented as United, especially as a young player, to carve out those minutes, but he is doing a great job of it, not just offensively, but his efforts on the defensive end. Man, he makes guys work, and some of the best players in the league are having trouble scoring against him.
Doesn't take a backward step. And one thing I love about him is he's had that last name. And you're a basketball player, and your dad makes the top 5 in the world championships among some of the greats. You always have that kind of weight or expectation, and I think now is the first time that we're really seeing how good he can be. We've seen it with the Tall Blacks, but when you do it week in and week out with this Melbourne United team, you're showing that you're a part of this team. Yeah,
it's no fluke now, and Flynn's a completely different player to what his dad was, which I think helps as well. A completely different kind of athlete. But
you didn't see Perro when he was young?
Yeah, no, I didn't.
Get that post.
Show me some clips.
Montrezl Harrell is on his way. He is about to take on the Breakers. He's with the Adelaide 36ers, and he has been on an absolute tear. I don't think we expect anything less, but he is maybe the biggest name that we have had from the NBA make his way over to New Zealand in a long time, and he is hooping for the Adelaide 36ers.
When you talk about swagger and experience, this guy's got it in absolute droves and came in with a heck of a reputation to live up to, but he's more than done that. And this Adelaide 36ers team, they live and breathe off his energy that he creates, all those hustle plays he was known for in the NBA. Yeah. He's brought that to the NBL, which has been the most surprising thing for me, because I think you do see sometimes these guys come from the NBA down here and they don't quite bring that same kind of energy. They feel like this is a backward step for them, but he's got a point to prove.
But I also think his skill set's perfectly suited for this competition. That undersized big who can shoot the ball, who can put it on the floor, who's extremely impressive physically in terms of trying to keep other guys out, can play bigger than his height. And that type of player has traditionally done very well as an import slot. And when you take on that NBA resume, the fact that he's got such a prestigious past behind him, I think it has come down and landed in the right spot at the right time. Adelaide's very appreciative to have him for the rest of the year.
Yeah, and he's hooping right now. Tommy, can you just explain how important it is to have an import, especially the caliber of a Montrezl Harrell, come in and be a locker room guy?
Yeah, so whatever way you look at it, the imports come into a team and they're a barometer for energy. Guys look up to them. Yeah. And especially for a guy like Trez Harrell, with his reputation coming in, young Australian kids getting to be teammates with him, they're going to look up to him. Teammates look up to these American imports coming in. So the tone that they set in the locker room, it makes a huge difference towards the culture of a team, and you see what a difference he's made.
Absolutely. Excited for that game. Breakers taking on Adelaide 36ers. All right, back to some local stuff now. Tauihi, round 4 is done. It was another big week, but we kind of said this just before, guys, a revenge game for the Kahu. Big win over the Polokai. The Fire go down to the Queens, who have looked good, and the Polokai, they go down once again, this time to the Southern Hoioho. Let's start with that Kahu one. Round 3, we'll go with round 4, sorry, but round 3 loss, round 4 win. It was a revenge game for them, and they balled out.
Polokai came out pretty good in that first quarter, played with a lot of energy, and poked the bear a little bit. Alia Tupaya started to play a little bit better when she and Mackenzie Forbes started getting a little bit of a jawing match, and we saw the Kahu at their absolute best in the half court, behind Talia, behind Panina Davidson and Amari Thomas. That trio, so good. They work so well together. The skill sets really blend as well. So they're going from strength to strength. Even though they had that loss the week before, they are right now the cream of the crop in the Tauihi.
They're well and truly the team to beat. And as you said, Case, that combination between Tupaya, Amari Thomas and Panina Davidson is just so tough. Their high-low game, that those two bigs play, is fantastic, and Talia's obviously playing at an incredible level right now.
Well, speaking of Talia and the way that she's hooping at the moment, just some of her stats right now. As we see this game right here, she came out with a vengeance, but her stats, she's sitting at 22.4 points per game, but she is shooting the lights out, 52%, 52 field goal percent rating, and a 62% three-point rating right now. She is shooting the absolute lights out.
62 would make sense if it was 2 out of 3.2, but it is 4.2 makes per game. She is leading the league in made threes by far. Nobody else is close to what she's doing in a game-by-game basis. And to do it with that efficiency, to have that bullseye on your back, hopefully everybody in the league knows, don't go under those screens, because right now you're going under screens and you're getting murdered.
And they're not all just catch and shoot either. She's shooting step backs and tough threes, and to shoot at that clip, I hope she can continue shooting at 62% for the year, but even if she doesn't, if it dips to 50%, it's still a decent season.
You take that, right? Shout out to Mike Lacey and some of the stats that he is providing us as well. Now let's go to the Queens Park. She showed off this week. She had 28 points. She shot the lights out. We heard just before that every morning, every game morning, she's in the gym putting up close to 500, 600 shots. And when you see the Jimmy like this, you see what work she's putting in.
Yeah, well, the work ethic's been instilled in her, obviously, and it's paying off. Just super efficient, super tidy game. She did a little bit of everything. Obviously shot the 3-ball extremely well in this one, but they had the mid-range going as well, and just a really important piece for the Queens.
Well, the efficiency is what's so impressive. There's really no wasted possessions for her. She passes the ball well. She had 7 rebounds in this game. She's had some high assists. She can be their primary ball handler. She can come off screens and be the focal point of the scoring offense. The Queens have so many weapons that I would almost like to see her on another team where she had to carry more of a load. But on this squad, her efficiency allows everybody else to play with a lot of freedom. Horston especially, she can go out there and take advantage of her athleticism and not worry about having to carry that efficient load because of a player like Joo-Hoon Park.
Well, scarily good team. Well, it has been a very big week, and this is, Justin, just in case you missed it. There it is.
I like the warning.
Justin.
That is the worst sound, by the way.
I get it now.
I get it.
Right in case he's here every week. Now, Justin, you said that some big news was happening a couple of weeks ago. We didn't get to hear it last week, but it is officially here. What's going on?
Yeah, it's been a big few days, hasn't it, Case? It's huge news for basketball, for men and women up and down New Zealand, and for India. Have a look at this. The Indian Panthers are with us here in Aotearoa, and I can't wait.
Best logo in the league, Justin.
Best already.
Best already. Look at that.
It's good, man.
It looks good, man. Pops.
I can't lie, that is good. You have to start with, where does this conversation even start?
Believe it or not, it actually came through Dean Vickerman. That's where it started. The CEO of the Indian Panthers, Pavin Batish, he wanted to know how to develop players more quickly. And Dean Vickerman said, there's this thing in New Zealand called Rapid League. That's where the conversation started. Half an hour later, they're into the competition full blown.
Well, we obviously know that's a long flight. How is this going to work? Where's the team based?
Yeah.
But just with the flights, with the name, with the league being here, how is logistically this going to work?
Well, thankfully, Goorjian and coaching, I heard earlier, is complaining about travel. The teams are going to be based in New Zealand full time. They're going to be based in South Auckland at Pullman Arena.
Nice.
And they're going to be here living, working, playing, being a part of the community. And it's not just the cells, it's Tauihi as well. It's men and women. And I think that's really exciting.
In terms of a squad and locals, imports, international players, what are the squads going to look like?
Yeah, 100% we're going to see Indian players. I mean, they're going to bring out the best possible Indian players to play in these competitions, but also imports, Case, as you know, and also Kiwis.
Yeah, it's going to be a great opportunity, I think, to have these players, and this is the big key for Prajeet to bring this team into this competition, is develop players in India who are playing in a league over there, but coming over here in their off-season to play. And so we're going to see those guys develop. We're also going to see Kiwis on that team, and hopefully they're going to develop a great fan base in South Auckland, because there's a market there for basketball fans to go in, and there's certainly a market with the Indian ethnic groups that we have in New Zealand.
And I think one of the great things that will develop here, and you're in the business world now, Tommy, I mean, well, he is. He's working. He's trying. He's trying. It's going to open up a lot of opportunities for the teams, for the players, for the competitions. I mean, government, education, tourism, agriculture, all of these things. I mean, we are talking about 1.42 billion people being exposed to Kiwi basketball.
Is that more than New Zealand?
Ever so slightly. Ever so slightly. Pause for a second. When you say the government's getting involved, that's kind of shifting the dial and kind of seeing things that we haven't seen before. What's going on there?
Well, it's the highest population of immigrants, or the highest immigration comes in from India. Last year it was over 50,000 people. So the government takes an interest in these things. So too does business, and as I said before, education, tourism are two key things. And this isn't just a basketball move, guys. This is also about the greater business of sport.
When does it start?
Well, they play.
They're coming up.
Opening game. I can tell you right now, the schedule hasn't been released, but I'm heading to Hawke's Bay on March the 12th next season. The great news is their opening home game down at Pullman Arena, they take on the Bulls.
There you go.
New local rivalry. Huge
news, though. Huge news. Tommy, for someone who's been around the sport for so long, did you ever think we would see something like this?
Absolutely not.
Neither did I. And I think this is great.
No, this is out of the blue for a lot of people, but I think it's just a wonderful opportunity to grow our sport in this country. And basketball's come such a long way in the last few years, and for the Indians to have this kind of belief in New Zealand to be a place for them to come and be that incubator to help grow their talent. It's a really cool sign.
Yeah, and I think basketball here has been known for innovation and changing and doing a lot of weird and wonderful things. Rapid League's a great example. For me, you know, sorry to be the Australian in the room, but
You're not forgiven.
it's about having a fair income crack.
Yeah.
It's also about trying to go out and be really different and having a go.
Well done to everybody who has managed to get that. That is now a thing. So well done to
Best
everybody.
logo in the league, according.
All right, the NBA. To the NBA before we get up out of here. And it was a big week, big opening week. A couple huge performances from some stars in the NBA. Let's start with Tauihi Maxey. He actually killed me in fantasy this week. He had 45 points. He had no teammates. Well, he had teammates, but his superstar teammates went out there. But he had 45 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, and an OT win over the Sixers.
Where's Joel? Where is he?
He's resting for the preseason or the postseason because that's in like 7 months. But the superstar teammate on this squad is that man right there. Maxey is the best player on that team at the moment. Because Embiid, when he's healthy, yeah, he can do that. PG, he's got this effort. But this is the guy who's going to be carrying the load, and he carried the load to an extreme degree in that game.
Did you ever have it written into your contract that you get the start of the season off?
I don't think we have enough games in the NBL to do that, but it would be nice just to take a little bit off at the start, off the end, a couple in the middle.
Nah, your career was fine.
New Zealand League
I got close towards the end.
Speaking of guys who are hooping at the moment, Paulo Banchero, excuse me, 50 piece.
We're confusing each other.
From the Orlando Magic, the second youngest player to have 50 and 10. LeBron was the youngest. So when you're in that sort of company, you're doing the right thing, but he went absolutely off. And the problem is, for the Indiana Pacers, it was them on back-to-back nights.
It's not nice to be back-to-back when you got that monster coming down the lane, but he's looking like the next All-NBA player, only in his 3rd year in the competition. He has already gotten to such great heights. The game has developed to a point that he can carry a load that you wouldn't expect a guy 22 years old to be able to do.
Yeah, 22 years old. I feel like he's been a little bit hidden down in Orlando. The team hasn't had a whole lot of success in the last couple of years, although they made the playoffs, as he told me, Case. But I feel like he's poised to have a real breakout year. I mean, games like that, if he has more of that, it's going to be all over. I just love his well-rounded game, 6'9", 6'10", to be able to move and be that athletic and that strong. Especially his frame, yeah, it must be nice.
I don't know if anyone else has seen this. I saw it. I thought, do we even bring this to the show this week? Do we not? I don't know what we're going to do here. I thought, let's do it. If you haven't seen this yet, Dwayne Wade, the Dwayne Wade, is one of the greatest players of all time. I have no idea who that man is. And he deserved a statue outside the arena down there in Miami, but he was given that. When you see that, what do we think?
I think someone's doing like the rest of the statue, and then maybe they just outsource the head and they run out of money or something.
That looks like Casey getting out of the shower. Not that I would know.
Whoa,
Not that I would know.
Always leave you tell me.
That to me looks like Tony Allen. It looks like they had a Tony Allen statue coming somewhere and kind of got him
Changed it halfway.
the way. Yeah.
Well, it wasn't just that. Obviously, when statues, when we see sort of statues like this, it sparks an idea within the basketball community. And here's our latest idea of maybe a statue that we could have here in New Zealand.
Whoa.
Yes.
Look at this.
Come on, Spark Arena, make it happen. But work on my face, please.
It looks like Warren Buffett.
Yeah,
You do look like Warren Buffett.
I got my arms right. I look like Warren Buffett.
You do.
about around the same age.
I hope my brain's like this.
But where would that statue be based?
I don't know, Case. Maybe Event Finder Stadium?
Event Finder?
Yeah.
Oh,
You got
okay.
any other ideas?
I was thinking maybe on Takapuna Road by the bars where you used to be a young guy.
Well, those were my MVP years.
By the way, if you had the money that Warren Buffett has, you wouldn't be sitting here complaining about that.
I wouldn't be sitting here.
No, you wouldn't be.
No, that's right.
If you weren't to get a statue, I would say you're first in line. Who do you think's the next person in line to get a statue for the Breakers?
Oh, I don't know about that. Mika Vakona needs a statue before I do, Brook.
He's good, this fella. You can't get him. You can't get this fella. You can't get him. All right, there is a big week. Actually, before we move on, shout out to the Breakers socials as well for allowing us to use that. There's a big week coming up. Just in case you thought you were going to miss anything, hold on, we've got a lot for you. Kahu and the Fire, which will be a game. Michaela Cowling is back, which is huge.
That's big.
Huge
That's
to have
really,
her back.
really big. They need her. They've lost their last 4.
She's so important for them as well, and what she did. Fire and the Hoya Horse are back-to-back games for them, and then the Polkai and the Queens. Also, the Mavericks taking on our boy Steven
Boy,
Adams.
he's back.
He is finally back for the first time since January 2022, I think.
650 days?
Wow.
Something like it's been a long time. He is back. Breakers 36ers as well. And United versus the Breakers there as well. So a big, big weekend for the Breakers. Justin, thank you for joining us in here. Case, Tommy, like we said before, it is Halloween. Make sure you brush your teeth. It's a big weekend. Big, big weekend of basketball coming up. Oh, that news to it. I don't do spiders. Have a good weekend, everybody.
Happy Halloween!
Cameron wide open. Cameron scores. He's putting on a show. Finds Gillespie. Little pass. Lopez goes upstairs. As Liafa tries his luck from outside. That's Liafa. Steps back. That's good, Liafa.